The biggest mistake I see in retirement is not people running out of money. It is actually dying with too much. And it's people who spend decades working, saving, sacrificing, only to retire and never touch a good chunk of what they built. And they hold back out of fear, follow rigid rules, and end up dying with way more money than they ever needed. That might sound like a win, but it's often just a sign they didn't truly enjoy the retirement they earned. And honestly, that's a different kind of loss. And it hits harder when it is too late to fix. Which brings us to today's topic, the 5 retirement mistakes you will want to avoid. And because retiring with too much money might sound like a good problem to have until you realize it often means you didn't live enough. So let's talk about why this happens, who it affects the most, and what you can do to avoid becoming one of those people who look back and say, man, I wish I hadn't played too safe. Now, this first mistake might sound completely backward, but it is a huge mistake that a surprising number of retirees make, and that's underspending in retirement. And you heard me right, underspending. Think about it. You're just retired. You're probably in your 50s, 60s, maybe 70s, and these are your go go years. You are healthy. You've got energy. You want to travel, pick up those hobbies you put off, spoil the grandkids a bit, and maybe finally take that fishing trip to Alaska. And this is a time when you are physically able to do all the things you dreamed about during those long work days. Look, I'm not talking about people who barely scrape by, and we all know the ones who, for various reasons, just could not save enough. For them, every penny counts, and they need to be super careful. But I am talking to the super savers on their financial independence journey. Many of you have worked incredibly hard, saved diligently, and let's be honest, you've benefited from a little good fortune along the way too. You've got enough or more than enough. So, why do people underspend? Often it is because they're clinging to rigid rules of thumb, like the famous 4% rule that I always talk about. Now, that rule is a guideline and a good starting point, but it is often too conservative for many situations. What happens is people live in fear of running out of money, even when their numbers clearly show they won't. And they pinch pennies, miss out on experiences, and end up with a huge pile of money left over when they do not need it anymore. So let me put it bluntly. Most retirees could safely withdraw more than they do. And if they don't, they are unnecessarily limiting their own lives. And I am talking about two types of retirees: those who want to leave a massive legacy for their heirs, and those who see inheritance as a nice bonus but prioritize enjoying their own retirement. The problem arises when the legacy folks hit their target but then die with far, far more than they ever intended. And I call this a failure of their plan. And if they die with, say, $10 million when they only wanted to leave $2 million, it is a failure to the upside, sure, which is better than running out, but still a missed opportunity for you to enjoy your life. So here's my take. And you put in the work, you earn that money, so spend it strategically on experiences that bring you joy while you're healthy enough to enjoy them. Do not let fear paralyze you from living the dream you worked so hard to build. And you cannot take the money with you to the grave, right? Unless you want to. Let's say I had $10 million by the time I'm 50, and if I want to make sure that my kid and grandkids can enjoy it, I'm actually gonna give them the money in advance way before I die. Not just hand it to them, but actually fund their Roth IRAs, 529s, out my gift accounts, or taxable brokerage accounts. I'm also gonna set aside 10 to 20% of my investment income during my retirement for charities or donations. It just becomes automatic at that point. And I'm also gonna make sure that I have a target spending every single year to enjoy myself. If I'm going to spend $30,000 to experience that first class travel on Singapore Airlines for 19 hours from New York to Singapore, that's what I'm going to do. Is it necessary? No, but it is an experience that I'll never forget. What if I go on a 30-day cruise for $50,000? It's all worth it because I already put the work into the front end. And why am I saving and investing 60% of my income now? Just to let it sit there in my investments? My point is to be intentional with your spending. If it requires me to take out 5% of my portfolio so that I can enjoy my luxury travel, then that's what I'm going to do if the stock market has an incredible year. I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And mistake number 2 is choosing your retirement location only based on the tax benefits. Now, this one hits close to home for many. We've all heard of those tax-friendly states, right? No income tax, no taxes on pensions or IRA withdrawals, capital gains or dividends. And it sounds like paradise on earth. And believe me, taxes should absolutely be a consideration when you're thinking about where to settle down in retirement. Nobody likes sending more money to the IRS than necessary. However, one of the most unfortunate missteps retirees make is pulling up roots and moving somewhere just for the tax savings, only to find themselves miserable there. And think about it. You've spent 20, 30, 40, and maybe even more years grinding it out and saving, planning for this very important moment. The last thing you want is to move to a state that saves you a few grand in taxes, but leaves you isolated, bored, or far from the people and things that truly make you happy. Happiness, connection, community, these are the priceless commodities in retirement. Do you really want to move away from your grandkids, away from your golf buddies, or from your favorite fishing spots or the local diner where they know your order? The property taxes might be lower, but the cost to your soul could be immense. I'm telling you, it is about balance. Yes, look at the tax implications, understand what your expenses will be, the enjoyable ones like travel and gifts, and the unavoidable ones like income and property taxes. But then weigh that against being close to your friends, your family, and your community. The things that truly fill your cup. Do not sacrifice your quality of life for a few percentage points on your tax bill. A few bucks saved is not worth feeling lonely or out of place in your golden years. It just isn't. Now, if you are anything like me or anyone who has been investing for a while, when you hear risk, your brain immediately goes to the stock market, right? Will my account balance go up or down? Will the market crash? That is what most people equate with risk. But here's a crucial point you need to know. Market volatility is only one part of the picture. A common mistake many near retirees make, especially those who rely on Social Security, a pension, or their retirement savings for income, is becoming too conservative with their investment portfolios. They get nervous, pull all their money out of stocks, and shove it into safer things like bonds or cash. While this might reduce market risk, meaning your account would not swing wildly up and down, it often opens the door wide open to other equally dangerous threats. And the biggest culprit here, inflation. Even if inflation seems low, say just 2% or 2.5%, when you compound that over a 20, 30, or even 40-year retirement, which many of you are looking at, that small percentage really eats away at the purchasing power of your money. It shrinks the value of your savings and your ability to spend. Imagine what your $100,000 in purchasing power does in 20 years. That's what inflation can do if you're not actively fighting it. So while you're fixated on whether the market will drop 10% next month, inflation is quietly stealing 2% of your wealth every single year without a peep. If you missed out on the April stock market correction, or some of you call it a crash, you didn't just miss out on the market recovery, but you also lost your money to inflation for holding it in cash. And it is not just inflation. Retirees face a whole lot of risks. Think about the interest rate risk. How changes in interest rates affect your investments, borrowing costs, and even asset values. Tax risk. The possibility that rising tax rates in the future could reduce your after tax income, especially from those big traditional IRAs or 401ks. That's why the Roth IRA could be your best friend in the future. Longevity risk, and this is a big one. It's the risk of outliving your savings. And we're all living a lot longer, healthier lives, and which is fantastic. But it also means your money needs to stretch further than ever before. If you're too risk averse with your investing, your money might not grow enough to keep pace with your lifespan. So, what's my advice? Do not let fear of market swings turn you into a financial ostrich. You need a balanced approach. Remember, a truly diversified portfolio is not just about different stocks. It is about managing all these different levels of risks. You still need some growth in your portfolio to fight inflation and ensure your money lasts as long as you do. Work with a pro to understand all the risks, not just the ones that make headlines. And if you need someone to walk you through this, you can schedule a consultation with me at firesidechat.com/consultation. And the next one is a total head scratcher for me because it's such a missed opportunity for so many people. And a lot of retirees make the mistake of focusing too much on their annual tax bill and not enough on their lifetime tax bill. And think about that for a second. We all want to pay as little tax as possible this year, right? But the goal in retirement planning should be to pay the lowest total amount of taxes over your entire lifetime. And that is a whole different ballgame. This is where tax bracket management comes into play. And many retirees, especially in the early years before Social Security kicks in or before they have to take required minimum distributions, aka RMDs, from their retirement accounts, experience what we call gap years, right? These are years when their taxable income is unusually low. On the surface, this feels great. Hey, I paid hardly any taxes this year. Awesome. But if you have significant savings in traditional retirement accounts like a 401k or traditional IRA, a low income year is actually a terrible thing to waste. So if your federal marginal tax rate is less than 22% or maybe 12%, you should strongly consider Roth conversions. So how do you do this? You move money from your traditional IRA or 401k into a Roth IRA. Yes, you pay taxes on that conversion now at your current lower tax bracket, but then that money grows tax-free forever. And all qualified withdrawals in retirement are also tax-free. It's like waving a magic wand and creating income exactly when you want to pay taxes on it and at the lowest possible rate. You might also consider deliberately increasing your income in those low income years, maybe by taking extra withdrawals or realizing some capital gains, especially if you have large charitable deductions that can offset that income. And the goal is to fill up those lower tax brackets before high income years force you to higher ones. And this takes proactive planning, not just reacting to your tax bill each year. And don't leave money on the table for the IRS just because you did not manage your tax brackets effectively over your entire retirement horizon. So be smart, think long term. And another mistake people make is claiming Social Security too soon. And I see it all the time. And when people hit 62, they're eligible and they just grab it. And who can blame them? It's guaranteed income and it feels like a reward for all these years of work. But here's the thing, by claiming early, you are permanently reducing your monthly benefits permanently. For each year you delay claiming Social Security past your full retirement age, which for many of you is 66 or 67 up until age 70, your monthly benefit increases by about 8% per year. So let that sink in. An 8% guaranteed return on your money year after year just for waiting. The truth is, far too few people wait until 70 or closer to 70 to take their income. It is pretty clear that a lot of people make decisions that are not in their best interest. That's why it's a huge, often irreversible financial hit. And my mom turned 70 today and she just claimed her Social Security. Smart financial move. And happy birthday, mom. For married couples, this strategy becomes even more critical and a bit more nuanced. The higher earning spouse should aim to delay claiming until age 70. Why? Because their higher benefit will usually become the survivor benefit for the lower earning spouse. Even if you're worried about not living long enough to break even or on waiting, remember that a higher check will live on with your spouse, right? Who might live another 20 or 30 years after you. It provides crucial inflation adjusted income for the surviving partner. It is a legacy, but one that directly benefits your loved one now. The lower earning spouse, on the other hand, might consider claiming earlier. This can provide some income during those early retirement years, especially if you have immediate goals like extensive travel or major home projects. It's about optimizing the total household benefit, not just individual benefits. Again, personal finance is personal. Doesn't mean that you should do it just because I said it. So you need to dive deep into your finances to figure out if that's the right move for you. And this is not about playing chicken with your life expectancy. It's about maximizing a guaranteed inflation adjusted income stream that will be there for you and your spouse for the rest of your lives. So go ahead and do the math, understand the implications, and for crying out loud, do not leave money on the table just because you're impatient. So, what is the common thread through all of these? It's thinking long term and making informed, proactive decisions. Retirement is not just the finish line, it's the start of a whole new chapter. And just like you plan your careers, your families, your investments, you need to plan this next phase with the same level of care and intelligence. You've worked too hard, sacrificed too much, and earned too much to stumble at the goal line. So take control, learn from the pros, and make sure your retirement is everything you dreamed it would be. And this has been another beast of a video, and I hope you got a lot out of it.